Oh, what an adventure! Get lost with Google Maps. Good morning everybody. Friday the 13th today here in Australia. Okay, so we made a couple of changes, but I want to share with you something I found with doing my visual inspection, which I do after, during and before, or before, during and after if you like, every trip. We haven't got to washing anything yet. We haven't washed the ute. We've unpacked the trailer and repacked it. She's ready to go again, apart from the fridge and freezer. And we made some changes. Now, you remember in my last video I got bogged, and basically we pulled up the camp and the back of the car just disappeared into, well, my wife describes it as a sinkhole. I've come across this sort of sand before at river mouths, and you just sink down into it and there's nothing you can do about it. What we had before, we had the winch in this back box here, but when the back of the car was down, the trailer was connected. It was really hard to get that winch out of there, okay? Really hard. Alright, so Ziggy and I have been racking our brains. Now down the shed we had one of these boxes, and now mounted here before there was two heavy metal jerry can holders that held two 22 litre water cans, okay? So that's a lot of weight that was sitting just in here. I actually think I'm lighter now, because all we did was I removed those two jerry can holders. Remember, we carry another 5 22 litre drums in the back of the ute when we go camping anyway. So we've always got enough water. So I removed those two water cans, which removed a lot of weight off the front. And I moved that front box forward, and I've tested it, I've driven it. There's no contact with the back of the ute at all. I've actually got more turning circle than I had with that big stone guard I had on the front here. Alright, I'm just going to put some little flaps on the back of the ute to stop the stones now. And the stone guard, when I got bogged and was getting out of it, had a tendency to hit these doors. Okay, because I had to jink the ute a bit to get it out. So we've put that little box there. Now the only item extra we've added to the weight, okay, is the box itself, which weighs next to nothing. You can easily pick this up with a couple of fingers. And in the box, we've now got the winch in this front box down there, which is going to make it easy to get out. And the air compressor, it was always there, but it was in this box here, okay? And in this box, the only thing in this box is the MX covers, so it actually weighs very little, although the box is made of steel. Yeah, we lost well over, probably close to 50 kilos with the metal construction of the two jerry can holders and the two 22 litre plastic jerry cans full of water. What's a litre of water? About a kilo, isn't it? So that's 22 kilos each. That's 44 kilos plus the weight of the steel, probably close to 47 kilos. And we put this, this is probably a 15 kilo winch, and this little box, which is probably about a kilo and a half. That's only very thin, probably 2mm aluminium. And that's it. So we've now got the winch in here, which is easy to get to, and even if we're bogged, it's even easier if we're bogged, because the trailer will be lower to the ground to get that out of there. Alright, and it doesn't look too bad. Now, because of the type of wildtail latch on this, I'm going to get a piece of UV resistant thick rubber and just flop over that so I don't get any water down through the lock. It don't look too bad. It's actually exactly the same width as the water tank, and we had to leave these gaps for lids to open, and because how far I'm out the back here with the tow hitch, because you don't want to be knocking your knuckles on this sort of thing here. When you pull this up, you don't want to be knocking your knuckles under the tray. We took all those sorts of things into consideration when we built it. Alright, I'm rattling on, Chris. Glorious day, isn't it? Look at this. We've got some really bad bushfires. My mate nearly lost his house. His whole property's burnt, and it just went straight over the top of his house and sheds, and they're still standing. Absolutely amazing. He had 3 days of hell watching that fire, and all you can hear is trees crashing down from the fire still, and he's still out there. Russell, keep safe, my friend. Anyway, I was doing a visual inspection like I always do, and that includes underneath the vehicle, and I found one problem, and that's with this hinge here. Alright, these are really heavy, thick stainless steel hinges. Okay, but as you see here, they've got a little circlip on them that holds them into place. Here's another one. Alright, but this circlip went walkabout. This people. Okie doke, quick trip to town. I'm just draining the 60 litre water tank out through the hot water system. Okay, it's switched on to hot. And I'm just letting that drain. Alright, we had to go to a fair few places in town. I couldn't get circlips anywhere, but what I did get was the exact same bolts, size bolts as in diameter, not length. These are 150s. I wanted 140s, I couldn't get 140s, so I had to settle with 150s, and I just replaced all of those circlip things because, you know, my chances of getting a little circlip in the bush is about as much chance as me finding one in a city the size of Bunbury, and that turned out to be absolutely no chance at all. So now we're draining the water out of the system, and I'll just turn that off for a second because I actually want to see what colour it is without any, now that it hasn't got any electricity in it. I'll just quickly turn it off because I want to test that water later. Now, the missus wasn't happy with the little stove she had, so we've got another one on order that fits in that hole. And it's quite a nice one too, actually. It's like the first one we originally had with the grill underneath it that we had 30 years ago, and we finally found another one. So I bought that. That's going in there. Now a lot of campgrounds now, when there's a total fire ban and that on, will not let you use an open flame gas cooker, which includes those little 2 burner ones we use, or 3 burner ones, even though they're up here on a sink, and when the NX is up and the walls are up, the whole thing's fully enclosed. So I've got to make room in here for the induction cooker, God knows where, and the new stove and everything else. So that's what I'm up to now. That's going to be very interesting to work it all out. I was thinking I might make a cloth thing that just velcros to this, so it can live up here and we can just slide it in and out. But my wife doesn't think that'll work because of the width of the induction cooker. But it's got that way now that we have to take one with us. Okay, when we were at the national park, yeah, the signage was quite clear and plain. No gas cooker of any sort during total fire bans or high fire dangers, which in Australia is practically all the time unless it's pouring rain. So that just means we've just got to take the induction cooker with us, which is okay with me because I've got the battery power and solar power to run the induction cooker, the Duetto Mark II hot water system, the fridge, the freezer, and all that sort of stuff anyway. But it is a bit, I just have to find the room, because now basically you need 2 cookers if you go camping, unless you've got all electric camp. And I can tell you right now, an all electric camp, even with my setup with that 400 watt solar panel up there, and she is an absolute beaut. When you have a few days of cloudy weather, even if I've got the car hooked to the trailer, so the 2 auxiliary car batteries, one of them's the 120 amp hour Solar King thin battery, which is in the back here. Very, very nice battery, by the way. It's just let me open this. Oh, I've got a little moth here. Look, mate, you're going to have to move. I don't want to squash you. I'm sorry. Okay, go and hop up there. Don't need the wee. I'm not going to hurt you. And yes, I did not hurt the little moth. He just flew away. All right. So basically, I've got that 120 amp hour, 130 amp hour, excuse me, Solar King lithium battery. It is an awesome battery. And I've got the big heavy duty 120 amp hour hybrid AGM down there that'll let me take out over 800, I think it's 900 coal cranking amps. And I put that in there for the winch. Okay, so if I've got those all hooked together in the trailer and I'm running everything, it should give me 3 days redundancy. Okay, if they're not, and I'm not running an induction cooker, I've got 3 days redundancy in the camper trailer with the hot water system and the induction, and not without the hot water system and induction cooker. But if I start to use the hot water system and induction cooker, then I've got to hook the unit all up to get me 3 days. Very important to know how much battery power you got and how many amps you use, or watts if you're a watts person. DC, I like to use amps because everything's rated by amp hours. Alright, anyway, that's my conundrum. Alright, keep safe everyone. Bye for now.